to another edition of EEI Global Circuit Exchange. I'm Lawrence Jones, Senior Vice President. I'm coming to you today from Dubai, where we're attending the Energy Storage Forum here in the GCC region. And today I'm joined here by the CEO of the GCCIA, the Gulf Council Interconnecting Authority. I probably got it wrong, but he will correct me, Mr. Ahmed Ali Al-Ebrahim. Ahmed, welcome.
Thank you very much, Lawrence.
Did I get it right? GCCIA?
It's the GCC Cooperation Council.
GCC Cooperation Council.
Interconnection Authority, that's right.
Great.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, Ahmed, welcome to EEI Global Exchange. Nice to have you here.
Thank you, Lawrence, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak on this.
Well, we're excited to be having this conversation here in Dubai as part of the ongoing Energy Storage Forum. So thanks for inviting us. You know, this conversation is going to be viewed by people all over the world. We started the Global Circuit Exchange where we talk to leaders like yourself. So to begin, why don't you just say a few words about GCCIA, when it started, the organization, and what you all do?
Well, GCCIA is a unique strategic entity that has been established by the GCC country, the 6 GCC countries. The model of the GCCIA has been a unique model, which has evolved starting from an idea that happened in the 80s. Started with the studies about interconnection between the member states, and these studies led to the initiation and establishment of the GCC Interconnection Authority as an entity that was given the responsibility to build a super grid to interconnect the 6 GCC member states. Of course, being Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, Oman, and United Arab Emirates, with a super highway interconnecting their grids. So, in 2005, we started building the grid. By 2009, we connected 4 of the member states. And 2011, we completed the interconnection of all the 6 member states and created a platform for the GCC member states to exchange and trade electricity, but also being a very important element of the energy security of these 6 member states. We had a unique model, as I said. Usually interconnections are done bilaterally.
Exactly.
But here we started from the top, where everything is being coordinated at the planning level and the operation level from the GCCIA level, having even a central interconnection control center that coordinates the operations of the 6 member states in terms of reliability and security. Okay. And that's a very big role that GCCIA is taken for the member states. This has really improved the security and reliability of the GCC systems. It has created a platform for electricity trading for the first time between the 6 member states. And we still want to evolve and develop this experience even more.
So interesting. So you talk about interconnection. We'll get back to that when it comes to energy security. And of course, the big discussion here in Dubai at this conference is the need for interconnectors to address the energy transition. But talk about interconnection. So you all are unique in having interconnected 6 countries. Talk about some of the challenges you experienced during this journey, but talk also about what are some of the lessons that you think the rest of the world can learn as more and more countries look to build more transmission interconnection.
As you said, it's very challenging, to get 6 countries with different national goals to agree on a certain platform, a certain setup. It was not easy. We did it by having a real willingness from these nations to have this a success. Everybody believed in the project, and that was very important. They believed that this project will really improve the reliability and the security of the systems. We started discussing and putting a framework that will address all the sovereignty of the member states while meeting the cumulative goals of everybody, and looking towards working as one entity. I think it was very challenging to agree on many of the things in the agreements. We had two main agreements. One is the treaty between the 6 member states that sets up the role and responsibilities and duties of everybody, and that puts all the obligation. And I think this is a very important part, to agree on the top agreement, which is the treaty between the member states. It defined all the necessary entities and all the necessary elements that was important to have this happen, covering all parts like funding, capital contributions, ongoing operations. All these things in terms of responsibilities and duties were put there in a very clear way. And we had to discuss and agree on it. But there, the key element was these countries having a strong will to make this happen. So they had to compromise, they had to find middle points that meets and addresses everybody's needs. And this is what we have done over, I would say, a short period of 2-3 years, where we discussed and agreed on the agreements.
So interesting. So you got that experience with 6 countries.
Yes.
And I know recently you signed an agreement, I believe, with Iraq. Now you're looking at expanding with interconnections to Egypt, to Jordan. Just talk about how important is it to create these interconnections for the region?
Now, going beyond our region, it comes from a vision that we look at ourselves geographically placed in the middle between Asia and Europe and Africa. And this is where we see the GCC region that can be like a global hub that interconnect these regions. The other thing is that with the energy transition and the change and transformation towards renewable energy, interconnection with other regions becomes a very important part of being able to accommodate this kind of change. That's why out of the vision of connecting to other regions, now we're starting to our first interconnection outside the 6 GCC countries, which is connecting Iraq. And with Iraq, we consider this maybe as a first step, connecting the south of Iraq. And later on, we expect that this will be expanded towards connecting the rest of Iraq and maybe reaching Turkey and maybe reaching Europe on the long term. This vision comes from, as we said, being a global hub, having more regional interconnections. We also are having studies to connect Jordan and Egypt, and to form what is called the joint Arabic market. And this is something that we are working on with our colleagues in the League of Arab States. So all these visions coming together to provide opportunities for the member states to help them to achieve their goals for energy transition, for reaching their plans on net zero. As you know, all the GCC member states now are pledging towards net zero by 2050 or 2060. That entails the big plans to change their systems, and we have to facilitate and help them to achieve this by providing these kind of pathways that provide them access to other markets rather than just being only regional. So this is the vision that we're working on to connect with other systems.
It's fascinating because when you think about what you're trying to do here, one of the big challenges many countries have with regards to building transmission are things like, well, one is obviously permitting and siting, right? Yeah, that's one big issue we have in many countries around the world. The other issue is obviously cost allocation. You seem to have been able to do that across 6 countries, relatively seamless, if I may. Or maybe we just don't see all the hard work you had to do behind the scenes to make it work.
Yeah, I think we achieved a good model to start with. But, things evolve over time. So what we have started with maybe 15 years ago, we have changed the model a little bit in terms of how we are financing and how we are covering the operating cost of this. We have already had a change from 2020 of our commercial model and financial model that allocates the cost according to beneficiary pays. And it's a constant evolution and development towards. So We are discussing, for instance, how we are opening up the market, how we're introducing new services, creating ancillary service market, for instance, and instead of just having it as a package that we give to the member states. So there is a continuous evolution of what we do to accommodate the change, and now it has been a fast change that's happening, and we have to be really going along these kind of changes to make sure that we deliver the service that we need to deliver in the best way that we can.
Yeah, no, I mean, the change facing the industry now is rapid. You have technology change, regulatory policy changes, so you have to be very busy trying to adapt constantly to what's happening. Let's talk about partnerships, because I think this is an area where I think we don't talk about it a lot in the industry, but talk a little bit about how critical international partnerships are for GCCIA.
I think it's one of the most important parts because as we want to adapt and to the changes that's happening in the world, it's very important to be connecting with these global organizations and making sure that this kind of expertise is being exchanged. That's why we have partnerships, for instance, with EEI, with EPRI, with we're members of Go15, with members of the authorities of power exchanges. So many of these partnerships are very vital for us to make sure that we can fulfill the needs of the future. These partnerships have different objectives. For instance, the partnership with EPRI comes from the need of R&D that we need. R&D is a very important part of our business because we need to see how do we need to evolve, what are the technologies, what are the processes, what are the approaches to changing our business. And since we don't have the capacity to build in-house R&D, the wise thing is to really partner with global organization that can bring this kind of expertise. So partnership is a very important part of what we do. I think it positions GCCIA at a very high level. We can bring in the knowledge and the expertise to our partners in the GCC to ensure that we all elevate and evolve at the same level.
Look, I know we're running out of time here, but I want to just ask a few more quick questions. So one of the things we talk about a lot at EEI International Program is this idea of energy diplomacy, or also electricity diplomacy more specifically. And given all the work you're doing, I mean, 6 countries that the interconnection serves, now expanding to other countries, would you consider yourself an electricity diplomat?
Oh yes, definitely, definitely. I mean, you have to address and be aware of each country's sovereignty and their own national interests. And for that, if you're dealing with a group, you have to be really very appreciative of that, and you need to really address these kind of concerns and try to meet their needs. And to reach that, it's not an easy job. So we have to be very diplomatic, and at the end of the day, the job has to be done, and we need to satisfy our member states, and that's what we try to do.
Well, let me just ask you 2 quick questions to wrap up here. So here in Dubai, you're having this energy storage forum. I think, what concerns you then about the future of the global energy system? I mean, we're talking about energy storage here, but if you want to sort of just share your thoughts on the things you're concerned about first, and then maybe the things that excite you.
Well, the future is happening very fast.
Okay.
The traditional ways that we have been doing things is changing, and it's changing in a very fast way, and we have to adapt to that. We have to learn, we have to change our vision, we have to set up plans, but we need to also start implementing. It's not enough just to have visions and plans. We need to implement plans in a very efficient and effective way, and we have to do that fast. And that is a concern. Do we have enough time to adapt and to keep up with the fast changes that's happening? That's what we try to achieve. So this is a concern, the fast pace of things changing, for us setting up the right vision and the right plans and being able to implement it at the right time. This is a big challenge for us.
Well, listen, so one of the things I do when I travel around the world and talk to CEOs like yourself, I always get the question, or I always ask them the question, how do they unwind? What do they do for fun? How do they relax? Tell us a little bit about Ahmed when he's not worrying about keeping the lights on in the 6 GCC countries. What do you do for fun?
Well, I am a sportsman, by nature. So I've been always sports-wise my getaway from all the stress. So I play tennis, for instance, 3 times a week. I have a fixed schedule that I go for tennis, no matter how tired I am. I go there just to de-stress, and it's a very much a distressing thing, of course. Doing things with the family whenever we have the chance to go out, and that's very important also to keep up the balance between family and work. We try to keep that, but sport, I think, is my big, stress reliever. Yes.
Yeah. Well, listen, you are certainly an ambassador for the GCCIA or GCC region around the world, and this conversation is going to be being viewed by EEI members around the world. You're an EEI member. What message would you send to your fellow CEOs in terms of attracting them or welcoming them to come to visit you? What would the pitch be for them to come to visit GCC region?
Well, it's a unique region. They will find experiences here that they will not find anywhere else. One of them, we can take them for sand skiing.
Okay.
I think you tried that once.
I've tried it before.
And there are different experiences that will amaze them from this region. This is a very exciting region, and everybody is welcome to come and visit us here.
Well, listen, Ahmed, thank you so much for taking time off your business schedule at this Energy Storage Forum here in Dubai to sit and have a conversation with us as part of the EEI Global Circuit Exchange. It's really been a pleasure meeting you, and I hope to see you again in Washington, D.C. soon.
Sure thing. Thank you very much, Robert.
Thanks.
Thanks.